I'm doing the second lecture on Kiki's delivery service. Today's free part will be longer. It's just me trying to cheer you up. So let me tell you, today's gonna be long. It will be about 2.5 hours, limited and premium included. So the lecture will proceed with some toilet breaks included, maybe. About how we should get over a period like this. This serious talk will be in the premium part. Okay, just for now, let's enjoy a fun lecture about anime. So let's start. First, let me read some comments about the last lecture. Many messages are from female viewers. Kotobuki-san, who lives in Nara. I saw Kiki when it was released. It was impossible for me to like. But the last lecture made me realize that I hated it because the self-conscious protagonist was me. I couldn't stand the film because I had Kiki's flaws. The magic finally unleashed yielded a relatively simple result, rather than a huge success as I imagined. And that also frustrated me. A girl's fantasy of being someone special. The assumption that we are special is different from the self-consciousness of men. So I think we mature more than men once we realize our self-consciousness, know who we are, and learn how to control ourselves. This should elucidate the basics of feminine self-consciousness. I guess she has a point here. Ai-san living in Okinawa. I watched the beginner's version of the lecture. Perturbed by the actual message from the director and realizing why I didn't like the film, I had a wry smile throughout the film. I hear this a lot. The being lifted up by dad scene, going to a far town farther than necessary, and the spirit lamp. I can relate to all these. I was so embarrassed I burst into laughter. I didn't like it because it showcased my shame. Watching the lecture, I started to admit it a little. Suddenly acknowledging everything is too overwhelming, so I'll do little by little. Okay, the last one, Hoshiko-san from Toyokawa. To tell the truth, Kiki is one Ghibli work I don't get. Actually, many people don't. I appreciate the extreme high quality of the film. And there are scenes that I like, but when I finished watching it, I felt like I was kind of lectured the whole time. I felt this since I was in high school, and with the mystery of Gigi, this to me is a film that is entertaining but makes me feel a weird uncomfortableness. In the last lecture, you taught me how Kiki is depicted as such a spoiled brat. Maybe because I'm as spoiled as Kiki is, I project myself onto her and feel knocked down when she is. I'm really looking forward to the second lecture to clear up the uncomfortableness that I have been feeling for so long. Okay, these are opinions on Kiki's delivery service that we men don't quite get. Thank you very much. I'll send the three of you my latest sticker. Where's the latest? Here it is. The latest sticker. Here it is. It's a graphic record. The illustrations of Otaking you drew for me. I put them into one sticker. It's pure exploitation of people's efforts. Anyway, I'll send these to you. Hope you like it. Today is the second lecture for Kiki's delivery service. This time, it's the intermediate version. These are today's topics. We just did the messages as the introduction. The first topic, why is she wearing such a big ribbon? The second topic, the stealthily erotic aspect of Kiki's delivery service. Gigi's mystery is in the advanced version that I do in the limited part. The reason why Gigi stops talking and the hypothesis of his absence. In the premium, I'll add to the beginner's edition and talk about some optimistic views on the pandemic. #Otaking seminar. Please give me comments. If you give me comments with the #Otaking seminar, I can see it. So let's exchange our opinions. Okay, as the first topic of the intermediate version, why is Kiki wearing such a huge ribbon? Well, it's going to be really long today. You've been warned. Let's start. Here you go. This is an image on the brochure of Kiki's delivery service when it was first released. And this is a quite popular image of the film. It's bright and gives an impression of a wonderful fantasy film. Toshio Suzuki praised it as only Miyazaki can draw this. I mean, look at the bottom. The scenery of a town at the bottom is from a bird's eye view, but a perspective view over here. This transition between views, that's what Suzuki is boasting about. Actually, that's not quite true. Miyazaki can pull this off because he's an animator. A single image in which the background perspective changes as the camera pans. So this isn't extraordinary for them. Maybe it's difficult for most illustrators. But you see, a bright and clear image is not on Ghibli's website. The image of Kiki's delivery service you see in Ghibli's official webpage is... Huh? Where is it? I guess I forgot to bring it. Well, it's this image. Can I have a close-up image? A little adjustment. Okay. This is the Ghibli's official image of Kiki's delivery service. This dark tone. This dark image depicts a girl who looks like she's completely overwhelmed with anxiety. Today I want to talk about why Ghibli chose this as the official image. So the official image of the film varies for people depending on when they saw it. Ghibli decided to go with this and has never changed it. Back then, the bright image was actually everywhere. Okay. Let's start from this scene. The opening scene, when Kiki makes her entrance. She's not dressed in black yet. She wears black on the day of her departure. So wearing black is a symbol of her becoming a witch. She's now a witch, and she will be wearing black for the rest of her life. The original book says why she wears black. It's the tradition from the time of witch hunt. People thought that witches did bad things, and witches wanted to tell people they wouldn't. So they wore black to show that they actually lived quite a humble life. This is what Kokiri, Kiki's mom, told her daughter in the beginning of the story. But Miyazaki abandoned this setting in the original book. Miyazaki's version of the reason for wearing black is because it's the shabbiest look, perfect for training. He claims that people under training should be in the shabbiest look. This, The Art of Kiki's Delivery Service. It's a book with artworks of Kiki's delivery service. He repeatedly refers to it on page 56. He explains why the story is about one summer. What I mean by one summer is that the original version of Kiki's delivery service is about one whole year. This year-long story, the animated film version, condensed it into the start to the end of one summer. The reason is related to the black outfit. It's summer, and the town is packed with summer holiday makers. So everybody's dressed nice and colorful. In this town, and in summer, the protagonist wears black. How miserable is that? So wearing black in the town in summer, that's what Miyazaki wanted the protagonist to go through. But if that's true, it doesn't make sense that she doesn't take off this red, huge ribbon in the opening scene. You see this scene? It's Kiki and her mom changing Kiki's clothes. Well, the ribbon wasn't supposed to be this big according to the initial setting. Actually, Kiki was first designed to have long hair. Why she wears the ribbon in the first place is because of this initial long hair design. Design candidates. Drawn by various animators for the anime adaptation of the book Kiki's Delivery Service. Kiki in the upper left has long hair. But it's difficult to animate the hair of a long-haired girl appearing in a film. Especially in Kiki's delivery service with many action scenes, it takes more effort to draw her hair. Active characters tend to have shorter hair, like Heidi, Girl of the Alps. They made a big decision to design her with shorter hair to make her active. Flying scenes would be so difficult with long hair. So, version 2 has long hair, which is tied with a ribbon only when she flies. This is version 2. She has long hair and wears the ribbon only when she flies. But in version 3, here in the lower left, the hairstyle takes a sharp transition to pigtails. It's difficult to make her move when her long hair is tied with the ribbon. So why not make her have pigtails? And version 4. If drawing the movement is the problem, let's make her hair short. If so, she doesn't need the ribbon anymore, so here she simply wears hair ties. Then they were like, perhaps she doesn't even need ribbons, nor hair ties. But the final version, as you saw earlier, Kiki has the ribbon on her head, which is even larger than her face. This is how this long hair transitioned to the final short hairstyle. Okay. Here you go. This ribbon is... Sorry, it's shimmering again. She is just wearing it for fashion. Kiki has this melancholic look, and the melancholy comes from this huge ribbon on her head, trying to push her under and crush her. This episode goes way back to the planning phase. Well, actually, Miyazaki did not find this original story of Kiki's delivery service very impressive. He did not plan to do this. An advertising firm wanted him to do it. This is written in Toshio Suzuki's book, Genius Thought, on page 78. From now on, okay, long time no see. Cowboy will do the honor of portraying Hayao Miyazaki. He will occasionally appear to help you understand more about Miyazaki's personality. To begin with, when the production of Kiki began, he was in the midst of making Totoro. During then, Miyazaki was busting his ass every day, all day long. So when he finished it, Cowboy, you're on. The rectangle of my aspirations is completed with these 4 words. Cagliostro, Nausicaa, Laputa, and Totoro. I made what I wanted. Done with Ghibli! So he went as far as calling the disillusion of Ghibli. So he appointed a young assistant director, Naosu Katabuchi, who later creates In This Corner of the World to look after Kiki, and told someone else to make the storyboard. So Kiki's earlier designs with the long hair, they were drawn by these young animators. He said he would stick to being a producer and a screenwriter. But as a screenwriter, he had a problem. Actually, he first said he would only take part as a producer. So someone wrote the first draft, which was just unacceptable for Miyazaki. So he had to write it himself. And that's when he read the original novel. And as I told you, he didn't like it. I mean, the story was not good for making it into an anime, so he was in trouble and talked to Suzuki. You're on again. I can't! I cannot see anything good in this novel! You have to teach me Suzuki! Tomorrow morning! And now Suzuki was in trouble. He had to teach what he didn't know the next morning. Suzuki was not a pushover who would just read it because he's asked. He had other things going on, so he just browsed through it and waited for Miyazaki's interrogation next morning. Miyazaki asked, "So, did you get it? Did you?" And words just came out of Suzuki's mouth, which are written on Genius's Thought. It seems like a children's novel, but is mainly read by adult women. He starts from there. That's not even true. He's just making it up. Adult women read this because it's a story about a girl moving into a city. It's not a story of a witch. It's about women or people not confident in what they can do or have, but are still trying to make it in the city. That was a big revelation for Miyazaki. He thought he could work with that theme. So he went on with his work confidently. But his idea immediately came to a dead end. So Suzuki said, depict a girl in her adolescence, and made a big presentation about how important this is as a theme. Miyazaki replied, adolescence is not my thing, so I've never done it before. But Suzuki said, that's what makes Miyazaki's Ghibli doing this theme significant. Such a zealous presentation. But according to Mamoru Oshii, this was simply what Suzuki wanted. Suzuki is just so crazy about his daughter Mamiko, who was 13 years old back then, so he did anything to impress Mamiko. This is what Oshii said. Suzuki used his power to cast her in a Nippon television special TV program for Kiki. What a father. He also made her translate the lyrics of the song Country Road in The Whisper of the Heart to put her name on the opening credits. She even wrote lyrics for the song Futatabi, sung by Ayaka Hirahara for Spirited Away. That's how much he cherished her. This Suzuki's extreme case of nepotism is quite shocking to hear. But have you heard any criticism? No way. No one can. Oshii mentioning it as small talk is the farthest it goes. This showcases Ghibli's reign of terror over mass media. They are just too special. Not only Miyazaki's scandal, but the fact that no one dares to expose even Suzuki's daughter's scandal is quite interesting. But no matter how zealous Suzuki got, Miyazaki didn't get that 13-year-old girl adolescent stuff. So these desperate two walked around Kichijoji for over 3 hours. They went into some coffee shop where Miyazaki just uttered his anguish, saying, I can't. I just can't do this. Adolescent story? My anime has nothing to do with those adolescent sentiments. It's because I hate that adolescent stuff. Suzuki patiently told him, but we have to make a hit. And Miyazaki replied, when I was 13, I was taking care of my little brother. I even cooked because my mom was sick in bed. I was a really good child, like Shita and Nausicaa. And then he was literally at wit's end. Suzuki didn't know what to do, but Miyazaki suddenly stopped bitching and started drawing a picture on a napkin of the coffee shop. Miyazaki does not think with words, he thinks with pictures, and came up with the Miyazaki design. This is the design. It's really close to the Kiki we know. But unfortunately, the first Kiki drawing on the napkin no longer exists. This is one of the earliest drafts by Miyazaki. Her face, it's more melancholic or sadder than Kiki we know. A huge ribbon on her head. She has such short hair, so it's not even necessary. However, this represents the inspiration Miyazaki was looking for. Okay, Towel Boy appears one last time. Eureka! Suzuki! A huge ribbon on the head. That's what it is. Adolescence is about having something big on the head. It's too heavy to handle by yourself. Towel Boy, until we meet again. Okay, so where is it? Here it is. This is... Suzuki told this story in his interview compilation book called Blowing in the Wind, page 145. Actually, it was an episode where Suzuki misunderstood Miyazaki. Suzuki thought Miyazaki couldn't relate to adolescent girls' feelings, so he couldn't make a story about them. But he got it all wrong. Miyazaki actually did not know how to draw such a girl. He wasn't able to imagine a character reflecting all those sentiments, worries, and thoughts of a young girl of that age. But this image was a huge breakthrough. A huge ribbon on her head trying to crush her. Yes, that's how I'm drawing her. Miyazaki got the image of her, and it became so easy for him. So since then, the project Kiki progressed very smoothly. Later on, Miyazaki read the book Kiki's Delivery Service again, just to be shocked. Suzuki, you lied to me. I read the book. Where the hell is the woman struggling for independence in the city? He said to Suzuki. So, The two made an anime that hugely deviated from the original story and went to apologize to Eiko Kadono, the original author. She said she was cool with it, but when she saw the completed anime, she said, "It's not my work," in her polite tone. And after that, she never talked about the anime. In 2014, she gave permission to make a live-action film that was actually based on the novel. That's how uncomfortable she was with the anime. Okay, this is it for the Hidden Theme Part 1 of Kiki's Delivery Service. Everybody suffers from the big ribbon on their head. Miyazaki depicted the excessively huge self-consciousness that plagues everybody. No one understands me. Why did I say such a thing? Oh my god, what a fool I am. I know I can do better. Why do I suck on the stage? I'm just better off dead. These things, these heavy burdens that try and crush you, everybody has them on their head. This huge weight, the ribbon, you don't want people to see, so you awkwardly try to hide it. Make it look at least fashionable. There is no escape. So that embarrassing, pubertal, edgy self-consciousness, Miyazaki depicted it with the huge red ribbon. And that he knew he could make. So this, in the opening scene, Kiki, before being dressed as a witch, she wears a girly outfit and already has the ribbon on. Meanwhile, her mom, Kokiri, she wears a black bandana just like her outfit. Her cloth is black and so is her bandana. I think it means the mother Kokiri, when she was 13, also had this huge red or yellow bandana on her head. As she grew up, the color turned into the witch's black and into a bandana of an adequate size. Maybe Kiki's ribbon will also turn into a smaller ribbon when she becomes an adult. So Kiki's huge red ribbon, it's not fashionable. It's Miyazaki's way of expressing the painfully embarrassing adolescent feelings. Please keep that in mind. Actually, I thought if Ghibli gave such a detailed explanation about the ribbon, there might be more to it. But it may just be me overthinking, so I won't talk about it today. I will tell you why I thought about it too much at the end of the limited part. I mean, my mind was once completely trapped in the Kiki's maze. I'll briefly tell you why that happened in the limited part. So that's it for the first mystery of the ribbon. Let's move on to the second topic. Stealthily erotic aspect of Kiki's delivery service. Well, what I mean by stealthily erotic is that what obviously seems erotic is not erotic at all. But the parts where people find nothing sexual are where Miyazaki slipped in many erotic aspects or messages. For example, when people see Kiki's delivery service, you find Kiki's underwear showing. Many people think that's erotic. Well, other female protagonists in Ghibli animes, they never show this. Of course, it's impossible for Nausicaa. She wears leggings all the time. For example, in this scene in Raputa I talked about, Shita says, "Stop!" and holds the robot soldier's head. The wind blows and almost shows her undies. It's close, but we cannot see it. However, Kiki's underwear can be seen from the scene where she first flies. It even appears in a scene when she asks her dad to pick her up. It's what women call drawers. It's underwear that people are allowed to see. In other words, drawers are like short pants. That's why some people say it's not erotic. This is a scene where we see Kiki's laundry are hung out. She was soaked to the skin, so she hung out everything she was wearing, even her ribbon. Of course, the lineup included her underwear, like a gigantic flag fluttering. This means that what Kiki is showing are not drawers, the panties that can be flashed, but her actual panties. She actually shows her real panties. I loathe myself for saying panty this and panty that, but why is she showing her underwear? Some might say, come on, it's just the erotic thing, but they're wrong. Miyazaki would not make an erotic scene this way. Never. The panty is not shown by accident. It's meant to be shown. When you direct an anime, you control every image appearing on the screen. Like, you make an animator draw a picture and tell someone else to color it with the color you designated. So Miyazaki is showing it. In La Puta, Miyazaki issued to the animators a zero-tolerance policy for showing Shita's panties. Reversely, in Kiki, he must have issued a strong policy of showing Kiki's panties. Unless he precisely instructed the animators how it should be shown in each scene, it wouldn't be shown so consecutively. Kiki is the only Ghibli protagonist whose underwear is seen, I mean a lot. Regarding this issue, here it is. This Ghibli's textbook has a comment from a feminist heavyweight and a faculty of the University of Tokyo, Chizuko Ueno. A girl's body starts to exude a sexual aura. Her body becomes curvier and her breasts grow. Kiki is not an exception. This plain black witch cloth does not hide her body's curves. The underwear shown beneath her wind-blown skirt is like she is exposing the womanhood she should have kept hidden. Why do witches wear skirts instead of trousers, which are more reasonable to wear on a broomstick, like when riding a horse? Miss Ueno wonders. Nevertheless, Professor Ueno answers her own question as to why Miyazaki won't let the girl wear trousers. She clearly states that, I'm aware that Hayao Miyazaki has a fetish for young girls. She says the director is pedophilic, and he's showing what he wants to see. It's sad that a professor from one of the top Japanese universities looks down on Miyazaki or anime in general this way. But her logic simply contradicts with the fact that all the other Ghibli female protagonists don't show their underwear. In Kiki's delivery service, all the main characters are female. Kiki owes all her growth, training, and revelation to other female characters. A female movie for females. That's Kiki's delivery service. But despite the film being a thoroughly female story, Miss Ueno did not quite like this film. It's because for classic feminists, this film... I think I kind of understand that. It has many scenes that they would despise. For example, these three scenes are very typical. One is where the father picks up Kiki and she's so happy. And this should be vertical. The next one is one where the baker makes her logo. After Kiki comes home from her first delivery, she finds her logo made entirely out of real bread. It was made by Mr. Osono, the baker, and Kiki hugs him with joy. So her logo, which is to women a name or a business identity, is given by a man. And when she's happy, she hugs her daddy. She hugs the baker. Why the hell does she have to be hugging all the time? These things would be really annoying to them. And the third example, finally, her boyfriend makes her an iron logo and puts it up for her. The logo so obviously represents the surname, a woman needs a man's permission to put it up, implying that women have to get married and have their husband's surname to be a well-acknowledged member of the society. Women should be pleased and hug men to express their joy. This interpretation is not unreasonable, and such scenes go on and on, enough to piss off Miss Ueno. Her comment in Ghibli's textbook comes to a shocking conclusion. I mean, she even goes as far as saying, page 117, Kiki, if you hold on to your unstable abilities such as flying, you'll end up being somebody's housewife. Kiki, don't let that happen. You have to go to college. That's her advice. Oh my goodness. Miss Ueno actually always gives this advice to female pop stars and TV stars. She thinks they only have statuses as females and only know how to live in the men's world, as long as they rely on their vague feminine attraction. But if they want more and find what they really are, university is the first place they have to look. So come to college and study. Very serious advice from Miss Ueno to Kiki. Well, I have been kind of teasing Miss Ueno so far, and I apologize. I did kind of make fun of her. But Miss Ueno's concern is quite logical. Well, witches are intelligent, kind of women who go to college, and they were persecuted. The world we live in has a history of persecuting intelligent women who would have gone to college as a witch. There is a comment from a religious scholar, Akira Masaki. In the textbook for Kiki's delivery service, on page 235, he says, the broomstick is a symbol of male genitalia, a penis. And evidence backing his theory includes this copper print by Goya in 1799. Actually, a typical image of a witch's broomstick with the brush at the back is something relatively new. Witches in fairy tales in the 19th century ride on their broomsticks with the brush pointing backwards. But in the era of this picture, in the 17th and 18th centuries, the time of witch hunts, the brush points forward. The brush is at the front, and this can clearly be recognized as a symbol of a penis. Harry Potter, Sally the Witch, all the modern witches fly with the brush at the back. This is because this symbolism started to make no sense over time. The advancement of women made it natural for them to take higher education and work outside their home. That's when the brush finally started to point backwards. We only know these resultant images, so took it for granted that they fly with the brush at the back. For us, it's just natural for women to be intelligent, but before that, the brush was pointing forward. A woman, being rational, like men, talking about politics, society, and other academic topics, that was regarded as masculinization of a woman. The witch was a symbol of such masculinization. Actually, witches were these women who were equally or more intelligent than men and were harshly persecuted by medieval Christian society. By the way, Jesus, according to Catholics, is like a pioneer of medical treatment for curing people. You know, those episodes of Jesus curing people, like when he told a person with weak legs to walk, they did, and when he said, open your eyes, a blind man became capable of seeing. They show how Jesus was a healer. So, in the Christian society, after that healer was gone, all the people could do was to wait for the second coming of Jesus Christ. But there were these smart women privately doing what he used to do, heal people. These smart women used the big pot, the cauldron, to boil this funky stuff, like the root of a tree. And this transcended as another typical image of witches. Why did they do that? It's because what they made actually worked. So, Christianity made people believe that they could only be healed by prayers. But there were some women who thought that wasn't working. Of course, some men thought the same, but men were more likely to be under the Christian influence. So these women with practical views started making potions with a cauldron that actually worked. The Christian society saw this as hearsay, a forbidden fruit of knowledge. They didn't care if it's scientifically appropriate. It was knowledge that people should not have. So, medieval Christianity completely detested those women with their knowledge and persecuted them as witches. This is widely known in history. It's like your ABCs. So, Miss Ueno, of course, is well aware of this. So, I mean, you can see Kiki's delivery service and think that the girl regained her magic power by falling in love. Kiki lost her magic power due to her envy, but regained it by finding real love, and became the star of the town. Nice. It's natural to see it this way, which is purely unacceptable to Miss Ueno. How dare you depreciate the history of women like that, she might say. Someone just commented, maybe she just doesn't know. Yes, she does. She has to know it. Even I know this. Miss Ueno has to know it. I really mean it. Let's go back to the topic. The topic was, why does Kiki show her underwear? Her panties. Hayao Miyazaki himself, here it is. In this book, he actually provides an answer to that. He gives a really straight answer, which he usually doesn't, on page 140. Showing her underwear in the middle of the town, Kiki definitely needed that as the final rite of passage. So, showing underwear in front of all people, the protagonist needed that as the final rite of passage. That's what Miyazaki said. This is the scene. The final showdown where she saves Tombo. Kiki's flying ability finally comes back. She holds on tight and the wind blows to flutter her panties with all the townspeople watching on. Miyazaki's comment saying she needed to show her underwear to townspeople means that Kiki knows that showing her panties is an embarrassing thing. Of course she does. She doesn't want to, but she has to. I'll explain this more in detail. This scene is quite close to the opening. Kiki flying in tandem with the Elder Witch. This is another scene where we see Kiki's panties. This is because of her poor flying skills. The Elder Witch asks her to turn the radio off, which is a simple operation, but Kiki can't remain focused and the broomstick wobbles and her panties are seen. Whereas the Elder Witch flies like nothing happened. So we see Kiki's underwear in her every embarrassing moment, where she makes mistakes due to her poor magic skills. The elderly witch flies elegantly, not once showing her underwear like Kiki does. She can keep her legs closed even while soaring over Kiki. No signs of panties at all. All things considered, this Kiki movie detects what talent is, as well as what the artisan is about. As I mentioned last week, it depicts the world of artisans. People have to go through embarrassment in front of other people to be the real artisans. The embarrassment that makes you want to disappear. But the next day, you show up in front of customers just to embarrass yourself, like showing your undies. People always find your weakness, and you get embarrassed every time, so you try your best not to be embarrassed anymore. That's the way of the artisans. Kiki's underwear, we see, is just a sign of her poor magic power. Flying on a broomstick, her only magic. But her flying skill is not yet something she can show off to other people. But according to Miyazaki, she has to keep on showing her panties. Because she shows them, feels embarrassed, and it's the only way she learns to fly without exposing them. Until then, she has to hold on. This mentally twisted girl, Kiki. As I told you in the last lecture, she had overcomplicated her adolescence. So her ribbon is so huge, anyone can see through her self-consciousness. And she always shows her panties that she doesn't want to show. That's just devastating, especially from a woman's point of view. Trying to look cool with ribbons, but your underwear is showing. This is the expression of adolescence Miyazaki struggled so hard to come up with. Ladies who used to be girls see Kiki and feel uncomfortable. I think these things just send chills up and down their spines. In the end, Kiki makes progress. She was showing her panties everywhere, but in the end, she does make progress. In this scene, in the closing sequence, Kiki flies in tandem with Tombo. This upper image. If Kiki was flying in tandem with a man-powered aircraft in the earlier scene, her underwear would be exposed for sure. But not in this scene. We only slightly see it when she goes down to help Tombo when his aircraft decelerates and hits the sea surface. It does still show a little. It's also slightly shown when she makes a landing together with Tombo, Only slightly, almost unnoticeably. As I said, underwear seen in Kiki's delivery service represents Kiki's immature magic power. But in the end, it's improved to a level where she almost completely manages to conceal her underwear. We see a glimpse of it when she's trying to rescue Tombo. So she writes that she sometimes feels sad, but all in all, she loves this town, and she proudly flies away in the closing scene. So she writes to her mom, her family, I still sometimes feel sad, but all in all, I sure love this town, and flies away without showing her underwear at all. And we think, Kiki, you've grown. But in the very end, she makes one last flash and then flies away. You see, this is supposed to be funny. The girl proudly writes, I'm doing okay to her family. But this girl who thinks she's doing okay still shows off her panties. So she still has so much room for improvement. That's the humor of the scene. Still, she has matured enough to write letters telling her parents to not worry about her. I mean, if it was Kiki at any point before this closing scene, her letter to her parents would be like, I want to go home and I'm lonely. That's what she would have written. Or she won't write any letters in the first place. She won't whine and puts on her brave face to say she's okay. She's learned to smile, even if it's tough. This is how she grew in this Kiki's delivery service. She tries hard, never gives in, like the elder witch she first met, saying, I'm okay. But in the very end, she flies away while giving the audience a final huge panty exposure as some weird joke. The end. So now you understand that Kiki's exposure in the film is not an erotic thing. It's actually a message to artisans. Make an embarrassment of yourself as much as you need and keep training, so someday your panties will not be exposed. It sounds like a good movie, but as I told you, the second topic is about the stealthily erotic aspect of the film. So obviously, erotic things are not erotic at all. There is nothing erotic about her panties being shown. Eroticism is hidden somewhere where you don't see it. So where can that be? If panties are not erotic, then what is? Sorry to have kept you waiting so long. Actually, in this anime, all the recurring female characters other than Kiki have something in common. This is what I mean. 4 characters important to Kiki. Kiki's mom, Kokiri, Osono, the baker, Maki, the designer who lives across the street, and the sophisticated old lady in the house with the blue roof. They have something in common. I chose these images so it's easier for you to find it yourself. The answer is... they all wear piercings. I think those who have a partner who are in an ongoing sexual relationship wear red piercings. The old lady wears a turquoise blue pierce. It indicates that she used to have such a relationship, but now she doesn't. Kiki, of course, no. Not even in the closing sequence. So Miyazaki, when asked in an interview what happened between Kiki and Tombo, he strongly said that Kiki and Tombo are not in a relationship. They are just good friends. So it is likely for us to see them dating. No, Tombo is her friend. Why did he say that? I'll explain to you later. So Kiki has no earrings, no piercings. Yes, I know. You've all been wondering. So Ursula, the artist, how about her? Ursula the artist, here. Ursula the artist has no piercings. The elder witch has heart-shaped gold earrings on her ears. Ursula wears hair ties instead of a ribbon, the symbol of self-esteem. However, Ursula suddenly wears this big hat when she goes in front of people. When she comes to the city, she wears this big hat. Miyazaki drew these big things on people's heads as a symbol of their self-consciousness. In the woods, Ursula has such a free attitude, but she's so scared to come to the city. That's why she wears the big hat. So Ursula is still in training. She's comfortably living alone in the woods, but she is not as tough as Kiki to live in the city alone. Ursula has her own weakness that keeps her from living in the city alone. The meaning of the piercings, well, people can have their own ideas. But they're worn under a certain rule, that is for sure. The Kiki film, well, it has surprisingly a lot of messages that are slipped in parts you don't feel are erotic at all. Okay, so this is it for today's free part. I'll soon start the limited part where I will be talking about Gigi's mystery. Gigi is Kiki's sidekick, who suddenly stops speaking. Even in the closing sequence where Kiki has restored her power, Gigi remains as a cat, and Kiki smiles, showing that she is okay with it. It's this scene. She talks to the cat Gigi, but Gigi still has the eyes of an animal. Gigi remains as an animal and Kiki gives a lonely smile. This is the end of that story. So, why doesn't Gigi start talking again? And why does Kiki give Gigi a lonely smile? Opinions on this issue can be roughly divided in two. The first one is from those who support the original setting, because Kiki fell in love. It's written in the book, when a witch falls in love, she ceases to understand the black cat who's always by her side. A witch finds her new partner, so the cat goes to find the partner of its own. So for people supporting the original setting and those into romantic stuff, Kiki is in love, so she can no longer understand the cat. That's what they believe. Another group thinks that it's because Kiki's magic power, that is, her innocent childhood, isn't coming back. I call them growth believers as compared with the original setting supporters. Kiki has grown, so she can no longer understand Gigi. Like she doesn't need someone like Gigi anymore. A very persuasive opinion. In the limited part, I will look into these two and share with you my interpretation, which is a different perspective from these. Furthermore, in the closing sequence, I found a hidden message to a fundamental part of Kiki's delivery service. Even Toshio Suzuki missed it. Even he didn't realize. I think it's the biggest twist hidden in Kiki's delivery service. Something that had to be concealed. I want to talk about that too. Thank you so much. Please fill out the questionnaire for the free part. I'll have a tea break. Okay. Some comments. It's just a twisted fantasy. Yes, a twisted fantasy. I know what you mean. Maybe Gigi speaking is just a twisted fantasy. Okay. Please give me the result. Thank you. Oh, that's good. Very good. Thank you so much. Such a high evaluation. I feel like my tough 3 days finally paid off. So happy. If you want to continue watching the limited part live, please subscribe to my Nikonama channel or sign up for YouTube membership. They are 550 yen and less than 600 yen per month respectively. If you are not a fan of the live show and just want to watch the recorded lecture, I recommend Toshio Okada Archive. You can see all the Ghibli lectures I did. Next week, how we should survive troubled times. Survive troubled times. People in the world from now on need to use their brain and know how to express themselves using their brain. People with an idea on this issue and people who don't. Their lives should be quite different, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. What the world will be like over the next 5 years. How would you shape yourself in the world, and how do you express that to the world? How should you think, and how should you put your ideas into practice? I'll talk about both of these. Okay, please switch to the limited part.
Thank you for watching until the end. I am the most famous otaku king in Japan, Otaku King Toshio Okada. I started planning to talk overseas about animations and movies popular in Japan in English. Before long, I'm planning to add English subtitles to movie talking in Japanese, so please look forward to it. If you ask a question in this comment field of this video, maybe I will talk about comments as a theme. We welcome the people who are interested in the forefront of Japanese otaku culture. and those who want to hear stories of interesting animations and movies. So please subscribe our channel. If there is good relation, I will get better and I will do my best. Thanks.